This September 24th picks edition of the MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with the promo code MLB SGPN to score up to $1,000 in bonus cash. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Welcome, everybody, to the MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. My name is Malcolm Bamford, coming to you from Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England. Today is, I've got no idea, Monday, September the 23rd, and we are here to handicap the best of the action for Tuesday, September the 24th. Joining me is Mr. Munaf Manji. Munaf, it's been a minute since I forgot the date. I've been quite good at that this season, but I thought I'd throw one in for old time's sake.
Oh, you still nailed it. You still got it right.
I did get there.
Yeah, glad to be here with you. The final Monday of the regular season. And then I think next week we'll get into some playoff stuff. I know, we were just briefly talking offline that there's still obviously meaningful baseball here, at least in the beginning of this week here from Monday to about Thursday with some of the division races and wild card as well. So definitely excited to get into it here with you.
Yeah, there is some really good baseball. It was an exciting weekend. There was some great drama in various games we'll probably touch on as we go through tonight. Plus, you still get to watch things like Ohtani and Mookie Betts go back-to-back to walk off the Rockies last night.
Yeah.
Obviously, Ohtani chasing records. So there's all sorts of stuff still to play for. Not to mention a dozen or so teams fighting for playoff places. Quite a few season-long bets still going for personally. I've got some World Series big prices that hopefully I can get 2 or 3 teams in the playoffs from my big picks. I've still got Cole Reagan's going. If he can get 2 starts in this week and everyone else gets 1, which actually might be lining up, I've got a chance. So, yeah, it's like at least I'm live with an 80-1 shot going into the last week. So, yeah, lots of stuff going on, and I'm really, really looking forward to it. And properly excited for the playoffs as well next week. Roberto Clemente has joined us in the chat. I'm just throwing shade at Munaf. So double welcome to you, Roberto. How you doing? And Trev as well. Trev must be buzzing with his Brewers. Looking forward to the playoffs. As always, we're going to get into the main action. There's around about 9 games, I think, for Tuesday with certain playoff implications. And then we'll dot around the bottom draw as well, see what else we can dig out for you. Before we get into that, let me remind you that Doug Stanhope, Brendan Walsh, and Sean Green have got the newest podcast on SGPN. Get to the points every Thursday before the game. Doug, Brendan, and Sean give out their favourite players and talk a ton of shit. Doug and Brendan are professional comedians. You might know from the Joe Rogan podcast or the Howard Stern show, indeed, and Comedy Central. So loads of great stuff on there. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. We're going to start Tuesday's games with a 6:40 Eastern first pitch between the Tampa Bay Rays and the Detroit Tigers. Tampa Bay have Ryan Pepiot going to the mound. For the Tigers, it will be left-handed pitcher Tarek Skubal. The Tigers are minus 172. The Rays are plus 144. The total, I've found a 6.5. But whenever I see a 6.5, there's got to be a 7. I never just see 6.5. So have a shop around for a total. Skubal is one of those people who's getting in the way of my Cole Reagan's bet. Now, I was going to ask you about Skubal here because he's not scheduled to start later in the week. This is his last scheduled start. He should be in on, is it Friday or Saturday? But I think they've got Casey Mize lined up. But obviously Detroit are chasing this wildcard spot, Munaf. So if you need him for Friday or Saturday, and we need a win to get in, do you pitch him on short rest? But you possibly know then he won't be able to go in a wild card game for you. I mean, what's the thought plan here? What's going on behind the scenes? You're on mute, Eminem.
There
Come
we
on.
go. I think that's my first this season. I mean, that's pretty good.
Buffoon.
Oh man. So he's pitching on Tuesday. His regular rest would be what, 5 days then? So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So he would go probably Saturday or Sunday. Would be my guesstimation. So it's still, because it's early in the week for him, I still expect him to go on the weekend just full the amount of innings that he's usually going, because he did pitch last Tuesday for the Tigers there against the Royals, but it seems like he hasn't pitched since. So it's been right around a little over a week there. So maybe they were already pre-planning for it, maybe. But I do expect them, Mal, to go either Saturday or Sunday if they're still obviously fighting for a playoff spot.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because, like I say, you've got the wild card coming up as well. Chris has joined us. Chris, have you changed your name? Because I think I got stick for the French pronunciation last week. There's a few more rings on Chris's name this week. I don't know if he's trying to get me in more trouble. I mean, Detroit have just been outstanding lately. They've won 27 of the last 38 games. I think somewhere around August the 10th, they had the same record as the Toronto Blue Jays. They were 10 games below 500. And all of a sudden, I mean, the two teams have gone, using the Blue Jays as a comparison. Well, there is no comparison. 27 of 38. And behind Scooble, you look at that record as well, 17-4, 2.48 ERA. It tells a story. The Tigers have lost 2 of his last 4, however. There's just no holes in what Scooble's been doing. However, Ryan Pepiot is quietly been going about his business quite well. The Rays are back at 500. They've taken advantage of quite an easy schedule to get back up there. They've won 4 games in a row, and Pepiot's been outstanding.
Yeah.
He's got a 3.47 road ERA, and since July onwards, he's been absolutely great. He's got one really good start against Detroit in his game log as well. So it's hard to pick holes in what Pepiot's been doing. Both teams are really strong towards the under in the last 30 days. So my pick was the under, but that 6.5 just made me stall a little bit. I'm sure there'll be a 7 kicking around Munaf. It will be a low-scoring game, I think. I think Detroit will win. I mean, the other way to attack it would be to tag on Detroit to win in under 7.5 or something. I think you get a little parlay in that way. But they would be my angles, Munaf.
Yeah, I think under's a look here. I think both of these pitchers have been really good against the opposition. Just Tarek Skubal in his career, 4 appearances against the Rays, 2-0 with a 1.04 ERA. Did have a start against them back all the way in April. I think that had been his second or third start against this season, at least for Tarek Skubal. 6 innings, 3 hits, no earned runs he gave up. So again, great history. Like you mentioned, that the Tigers has just been in really good form, as well as Ryan Pepiot, right? You mentioned the numbers there, or his last 3 starts, 4 earned runs. He's given up only. So I think that, like you mentioned, this should turn into a pitcher's duel here for both of these squads. If you're able to find that 7, I do like the under 7 in this game. I'd lean towards the Tiger side here, but I think the under. I think some of these series that I know we'll talk about more here throughout the episode here, but a lot of these series may just have a playoff feel to it, right? Where you may be able to cash in on the unders. Yeah, so I do like the under. If you're able to find that 7, under 7 will be the look in this game.
Tigers are one of 3 teams that I've still got running for me. I bet the Mets and the Padres about 2 weeks ago, but I bet the Tigers pre-season. So for a lot of the season, I thought I'd done my money, 50-1, and all of a sudden they've given me a little squeak. So hopefully they can be one of 3 runners that I get in there. Next game on the card, we're going to go to a 6:40 Eastern first pitch between the Chicago Cubs and the Philadelphia Phillies, where left-handed pitcher, friend of the show, Justin Steele, will go for the Cubs. Philadelphia are TBD, but we think, and crucially the books think, it's going to be Taiwan Walker. And remarkably, Philadelphia are even money home underdog here with the Cubs at -118. The total sits at 8.5. Munaf, I quite fancied the Cubs, but I kind of lazily assumed we'd get an underdog price just looking at the names. But the books are onto the fact that it's Taiwan Walker and the Phillies might just be having a day or two to regain their focus. So the Cubs going off favourites here.
Yeah, Taiwan Walker's last start, I think that kind of tells you how his season's really been going here. 3 1/3, 8 earned runs he's given up in that last start against the Mets. He was going along, obviously coming out of the bullpen for the Philadelphia Phillies, but as soon as they trotted him out there for a start, it just hasn't gone his way. Frankly, throughout the season, he does have pretty good career numbers against the Chicago Cubs, 2-2 with 2.73 ERA, but his recent form right now just has not been very good. Talked about Justin Steele. I mean, he's been very, very good thus far this season as well. He just hasn't really gotten the run support from this Cubs team, shockingly. His last start, he only was out there for 2 2/3. May have been a rain situation or weather situation there, but he also has good numbers against the Phillies. 1-0 with a 0.82 ERA. Walks continue to be a concern for Justin Steele. I think that's the one concern that you do have for him in this game, at least. But I want nothing to do with Taiwan Walker. If you don't want to take the Cubs here on the money line, maybe you pivot to a team total over, just really fading Taiwan Walker and just banking on the Cubs to get runs in this game. So I'll take the team total over for the Chicago Cubs, probably 3.5, 4.5, maybe. But yeah, sorry, it will be 4.5 because they are favored with the 8.5 total. So I like them to get runs off of Taiwan Walker in this game.
Yeah, it does feel like a little bit of a trap because everything is guiding you towards being a little bit cute and taking the Cubs. But for several reasons, like I say, the Phillies swallow Nola tonight in the Monday game. But will be quite happy just to maybe take a day or two to regain their focus and ease off a little bit. Taiwan Walker's been legitimately horrible, by the way, so you wouldn't want to bet him, even if the Phillies were still in the heat of battle. Blown up by the Mets last time. He's miles away from being somebody you want to bet on at the minute. Justin Steele, however, has been great. He had a little IL stint, but came back again, only went 8 outs against Oakland. So I'm not sure what we'll get. But when he does pitch, he pitches well. There's no question about that. When he goes deep enough into the games, he pitches well. Cubs have been scoring runs, 6.4 runs per game in the last 30 days. I'll walk into the trap. It sounds like everyone in the chat wants to come in there with me as well. So we'll all see you at the bottom of the pit tomorrow with the Cubs at -118. Underdog Fantasy Pick'em. Always adding to their awesome menu. They now have first TD predictions. Loads of ways to win with NFL. Adam Thielen, twice in 3 weeks. Come on, all aboard. College football, MLB, MMA, and more. You can use specials and boosts on all flexed entries. Munaf, anything? What's the prop for tonight? There's two NFL games tonight. What we betting?
Yeah, I like Travis Etienne higher 20.5 receiving yards and Jamar Chase higher on his receiving yards as well. It's probably around 80.5. I think it's a big game for him.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. Get on those and use our code to do it. MLB SGPN to claim a special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Underdogfantasy.com promo code MLB SGPN. I was at kids' football tonight with Bob, and one of the lads is a bit of an NFL bettor, and he pulled out a paper slip from his wallet, a bit Sean and Ryan style, a big 10-incher, and 200 to 1 went down on a Alvin Kamara anytime touchdown. He hit everything else. I know, yeah. Great big long list of things. And Kamara was wide open on that last play. I think did they hit Chris Olave?
Yeah.
And Kamara, if you'd looked the other way, was just as open. So a little bit of looking on a 200 to 1 shot there. But story, yeah, it's the gambler's fallacy, Muna. We go to 6:45 Eastern first pitch between the Kansas City Royals and the Washington Nationals. Left-handed pitcher and about to throw a 17 strikeout game is Cole Reagans for the Kansas City Royals. Left-handed pitcher Mitchell Parker for the Washington Nationals. Plus 136, the Nationals. The Royals are minus 162. Total sits at 7.5. The Royals have picked a terrible time to go on a 7-game losing streak. I mean, they've got themselves in a great position and absolutely shit the bed. Reagan's has put up a nice little sequence. 3 games started. Three earned runs in his last 3 games, over 19 innings pitched. He's getting good length. He's getting consistent strikeout numbers. The Royals have lost his last 2, but 5 in a row to the under. So a good pitcher behind a misfiring offense will do that for you. Mitchell Parker's only got 1 good start in his game log against Miami recently. And that's an outlier. He's had a good season, Parker. We've followed him quite closely. We've won him a few times. He's pitched 146 innings now. He's 24 years old. I get the feeling he's looking a little bit tired. Both lineups are struggling. I think the Royals will win. But I like Reagans to get involved in another under. That's just what he's been doing. Neither team batting particularly well. Like I say, Kansas City on that 7-game losing streak. And just a little note, which does weaken the Washington lineup, is that C.J. Abrams was sent down to single A, by the way, not even triple A. Maybe triple A. I don't know if they're finished now. I don't know when the triple A championships were. But they sent him all the way down to single A because he was still at the blackjack table at 8 o'clock in the morning, 5 hours before first pitch last week. I think it was against Minnesota. So, CJ, if you're listening, you're very welcome on the show. You can, by all means, come and give us some picks. We'll have a hand of blackjack with you. So that weakens him a little bit as well. So, yeah, I'll take the under 7.5, Munaf.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned at the top of the handicap that this was just a really bad time for the Royals to go on a 7-game losing streak here. And unfortunately for me, I took them on the run line the first 2 games against the Giants, and they absolutely shit the bed, like you mentioned. And they just haven't been able to score runs, right? And when you're not able to score runs, no matter how great you pitch, you're going to leave yourself to some vulnerability. And now you take a look at that American League wildcard race right now, Mal. I know the Baltimore Orioles have a 4-game lead in that the first spot there, but there's only 4 teams that are now separated for the final 2 spots there. The Twins are 1 game behind, and don't look now, the Mariners, who were counted out, they're only 2 games back. I know they have a big series against the Astros to start the week here, but yeah, I think this might be a spot here for the Royals. I know Mitchell Parker, in particular, on the road has been very good, but he's been good at home. The numbers really just jump off of the page when you're looking at his splits this season for Mitchell Parker. 5-4 at home with a 2.81 ERA, 1-6 on the road with a 6.61 ERA. And I know you talked about your Cole Ragans ticket for the strikeout leader. He should be getting another start as well over the weekend for this Kansas City Royals team because they need all the wins I can get right now. So until I see this Royals team start hitting the baseball, I'm not sure I can get there. I think this might be another game where I just end up taking the under between these 2 teams. The number's at 7.5 right now between Ragans and Mitchell Parker. So under would be the look for me here.
7:05 Eastern first pitch between the Baltimore Orioles and the New York Yankees. Dean Kramer takes the ball for Baltimore, and it will be Clark Schmidt goes for the Yankees, who trade at -164, Baltimore +138. Total Munaf is 8.5.
Yeah, Dean Kramer getting the start here for the Orioles. Another series that has obviously playoff implications, but maybe the division is now pretty much done for this Orioles team. I mean, they just were playing really bad baseball in the second half of the year. And over their last 10 games, now they're just 3-7 straight up. Meanwhile, the Yankees are 8-2 straight up over their last 10 games in that same span. So, but again, they still control their own destiny here in that American League wild card. Dean Kramer on the season, 7-10 with a 4.19 ERA. Historically, doesn't have really good numbers against the Yankees. He's just 3-3 with a 4.63 ERA. Trying to see if he did face them earlier this season. He did face them back all the way on April 30th, and he also faced them on July 14th. And in those 2 games, he gave up a total of 4 earned runs. One was a really good outing, 7 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned runs. And then the last start, 4 2/3, 4 hits, 2 earned runs. So he gave it up in a shorter amount of time. Clark Schmidt is getting the start here, right, Mal, for the Yankees?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, that just making sure because I thought I saw some earlier or something different earlier. But um, he's having a pretty great season, despite only pitching 76 innings for this Yankees team. He does have a 5-4 record with a 2.37 ERA. He's been in really good form, right? I think the ceiling right now for him is around 5 innings ish. For this Yankees team, and he's only allowed a total of 6 earned runs over his last 5 starts here. So, um, I think it's a Yankee spot here as well. I have the better pitcher on the mound with Clark Schmidt. I mean, Aaron Judge having a historical season. It's been incredible to watch both him and Otani this season, Mal. But I think the Yankees is a side here for me. I just don't know what the psyche right now is for the Baltimore Orioles. They have that 4-game lead, like I mentioned, in the wild card race in the American League. So a couple more, I think they can seal their fate to the postseason here. But I'm just not a fan of Dean Kramer right now, especially the recent form that he is in right now. So if you want to look at Yankees runs in this game, I think that's a possibility. But I think I'm on the Yankees side here.
Yeah, I've got nothing more fancy in this game than a Yankees money line pick, Munaf, the same as yourself. 10 of 14 Baltimore have lost now, as it happens. And I just preferred everything about the Yankees in this matchup. I think personally, and possibly even as a show, as a unit, we've pinned our colours to the mast by fading Baltimore. In the last couple of weeks of the season, we found that stat about not having won a series against teams over 500. They just haven't played well at all. I'm going to be out on them for the rest of this week and in the playoffs. So Schmidt returned off the IL. He has had short starts, you're right, but he's been effective. Kramer's not as good on the road. Gio in the chat is pointing out they've got Westberg and Arias back. Westberg is a name. It could be total coincidence because obviously he's not one of the star sort of household names, but he seemed to have been that glue guy since he went down. That absolutely stymied the Orioles. Like I say, there may have been several other factors as well. So I doubt when they plug Westberg back in that everything's going to be right again. But it might be because he absolutely the two things are correlated. So interesting to see how Baltimore functioned with Jordan Westberg back in the lineup. But yeah, give me the Yankees. Munaf.
Just last note here, Mal, for the Orioles quickly. I'm sorry. The rest of the season here, they're all on the road. So they have the 3-game set against the Yankees, and then they go to Minnesota. So Minnesota, another team that's battling for a playoff spot. So it's going to be a good test here for this Orioles team as we finish up the regular season here.
This next game, this next series is an absolute beauty. This is going to be appointment viewing, I think, this week. 7:20 Eastern first pitch between the New York Mets and the Atlanta Braves. It is Luis Severino going for the Mets. It is one of the biggest names in baseball. Spencer Schwellenbach will go for the Atlanta Braves, who are minus 134. The Mets plus 116. And the total here is sitting at 8. Mets with a 2-game lead over the Braves in the wild card race. They took 3 or 4 from Philly over the weekend. Really dramatic circumstances. They've carried quite a look, the Mets. But look, something you don't want to get in the way of as a gambler. Sometimes you just have to roll with it. There's I can't remember who drilled the ball down the left field line in the 9th inning last night. They hit the bag plumb on, bounced up in the air. The runner didn't score from third, and the Mets walk it off. And yeah, small margin. It's a game of inches. Severino back-to-back starts against Philly, his last 2. 6 innings and 3 earned runs both times. Not as good on the road, but momentum is with him. Momentum is with the Mets. Diaz got a 6-out save last night, by the way. The Mets are throwing absolutely everything at this. No mucking around last night. I think the manager told Diaz it was time for big boy baseball. He's been pissing around in the 6th inning and stuff. He was like, no, get out there. 6 outs for the save. Schwellenbach's still dealing. Really good. August and September ERA of around 3. Not quite as good at home, where it's up at 393. This is a really hard game to handicap, Munaf, as it should be. They're not supposed to be easy. Atlanta have been winning against right-handed pitchers in the last 30 days. Both teams' runs per game are up around 5. So sort of the pitchers want me to take the under. The lineups want me to take the over. the Mets' batting average has been relatively low. And like I say, I do think they're carrying a little bit of luck. They should have Lindor back in the lineup, which is another fly in the ointment here. And I don't want to get in front of that good luck that the Mets have got. I can't pick a side, Munaf. I wasn't good enough. I'm going to take the over. I think we're going to see some chaos this week. Total sits at a nice 8. So let's go for it. And honestly, that's more of a gut handicap than anything else, Munaf. I don't think I was good enough to pick this apart in any other way than how I feel about it. So yeah, over 8.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. This is going to be appointment television. I'm on the under here. I just think that both these pitchers will go along well in this game, whether it's in the first 5 innings or they go 6 or 7 innings here. It's going to be a playoff atmosphere, right? Because, I mean, let's just quickly look at the updated standings right now in the National League. I know we just talked about the American League, but this is going to be a fun series. It's going to be a big series, right? And you mentioned it, what the Mets were able to do over the weekend over the or against the Philadelphia Phillies. And I think that they can carry that momentum into the series against the Atlanta Braves. So right now, the Braves are sitting 2 games back of that 3rd spot behind Arizona. The Mets are sitting that 2nd spot, and the Padres have that 3-game lead over that 3rd spot right now. So the Braves really need to win this series if they want any chance of making the postseason. Need a little bit of help from Arizona to lose in the final week here, but again, Spencer Schwellenbach, like you mentioned, he's just been going along really, really well. He's made 9 home starts for the Atlanta Braves this season, Mal, 7-2 to the under. Luis Severino has been in great form as well. I know he gave up 3 earned runs each over his last 2 starts against the Philadelphia Phillies, but this Atlanta Braves team, we talked about it over the past month or so. They just haven't been that same lineup. They're going to have games in there where you see them look like they're the old team from last season where they're able to put up the runs, but there's just some games where they're only able to, put together 1, 2, 3 runs at a time. So I'm really looking forward to it. This is going to be a great pitching matchup here. I like the under first 5 in this game. I like the full game under here as well. Like you mentioned, I just couldn't bring myself to a side here either, but I do like the under in this game. I think, at least for this game out, I think runs will be at a premium.
Okie doke, Munaf. Bit of a crossfire there, but like I say, I was very much just running on fumes trying to pick that one. BetUS, one of our favourite sponsors here, the best in the business. BetUS has been around for over 30 years. You can deposit using crypto now and get lightning fast payouts. Support SGPN and get yourself access to another great book by signing up at BetUS. And listen to this offer. Use the link to sign up and get 125% deposit bonus on your first 3 deposits. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. Promo code SGPN so they know that we sent you. BetUS is America's favourite sportsbook, and Rhythm continue churning out winning weeks on NFL, their AI predictive models. We're all over loads of moneyline dogs this weekend. Absolutely outstanding stuff again. You can build your own model or copy one of the top performing models from the leaderboard. It gives you predictions for every game, player props, loads of stats, trend analysis, all sorts of things. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Next game is it's down the page. Where are we? There we go. 7:40 Eastern first pitch between the Miami Marlins and the Minnesota Twins. Left-handed pitcher Ryan Weathers for the Marlins and Bailey Ober will go for the Twins. Twins here are -240. Miami +198. Total Munaf 7.5.
Yeah, Bailey Ober's been a guy that I have wanted to back when he's pitching at Target Field for the Minnesota Twins. But he's kind of fallen off after the All-Star break. I know he was doing really well before the All-Star break, but I'm trying to pull up the numbers here for him. So since the All-Star break, he is 4-2 straight up at home, 3-3 on the run line there. Again, at this juncture of the season, Mal, just comes down to motivation, right? And what you're going to get out of these teams. And obviously, we know the Marlins season was over at the end of April because they had traded away Luis Ariz to the San Diego Padres and made some other trades in there as well. So right now for this Minnesota Twins team, they're sitting 1 game back of the Detroit Tigers in that wild card spot. And I think, when I mentioned you mentioned Bailey Ober being the starter here. I think that's a guy that I want to back at home in particular for this Minnesota Twins team. You take a look at his splits thus far this season at home at Target Field. He's 7-3. ERA is a little bit inflated. I think he had a one bad start in there where I forgot who it was against, because I remember betting on Bailey Ober that game. It was it was against the Braves, and he had given up 9 earned runs. This was back on August 26th in about 2 innings where he only lasted there, and then he got hit by the Reds as well. So the handicap says, and the numbers and everything when we talk about motivation says to be on the Twins here. I think that is a side. Whether you want to go first 5 innings run line in this game, I think that would be the look here for me. Just backing Bailey Ober. So first 5 innings run line would be the look in this game between the Marlins and the Twins, Mal.
Yeah, you're right. What you know about it tells you to back the Twins, but at -240, it's really, really hard.
Yeah.
I actually think if you gave me a tenner, I would probably put it on the Marlins of the two. Ryan Weathers, at this point of the season, he's just come back from injury. I think he's just trying to get some meaningful innings under his belt. It's the games, they don't mean anything for the Marlins at this point. He gave up 5 earned against the Dodgers last time, but he could go okay. He's not a bad pitcher, Ryan, with it. Bailey Ober's been inconsistent. He hasn't got many wins lately because Minnesota haven't been winning. His 4 September starts have been okay. This is really ugly. Like I say, I didn't want to take anything sort of Minnesota related on the positive side. The price is sort of -240 because I can't trust Minnesota to take advantage of whatever Ryan Weathers does. Mm-hmm. It's not a bad start for Weathers to throw 5 innings against a struggling Minnesota team that are 1-5-1 towards the under against left-handed pitchers in the last month. So I'm going to take a Minnesota team total under, which I'm guessing is at 4.5, something like that. They might win, but I think Weathers can go okay here and can hold the Twins to a low-scoring outing. Next game is 8:10 Eastern between the Seattle Mariners and the Houston Astros. Officially TBD Seattle. I believe it is Logan Gilbert who will take the ball. Left-handed pitcher Framber Valdez will go for the Houston Astros, who are -162. Seattle +136, total 7.5. The hometown Astros for Munaf's magic number now is down to 2. Seattle are 2 wild card games back. Gilbert been fairly steady, if quite unspectacular. Lots of strikeouts. That's probably his most reliable stat line. 9-7, 10, 9, and 10 in his last 5 starts. And he's been really good in division. That's a stat that I noticed. 9 games started against divisional rivals, 2.05 ERA. So I think you could trust Gilbert to go okay here. Valdez has been outstanding. 2 earned runs in his last 27 1/3. Last 4 games started that. I instinctively wanted the under here, even though the offensive metrics for both teams have been good lately. But against the lefties, Seattle are 5-1-2 in the first 5 lately. I think they can nick this early at a nice price. I'm going to take Seattle at plus money in the first 5 innings, Munaf.
Yeah, so for the Astros, if they win on Monday night, I believe they clinch the division, is what I saw. So this gets a little bit tricky, right? So if they do get the job done on Monday night, what's the motivation then for the Astros?
Okay, yeah.
Because, right, we talk about celebrating in the locker room, drinking beers. You're probably going to be hungover and then you just don't have motivation to play on Tuesday. But Framber Valdez, like you mentioned, has been really, really good for this Astros team since the All-Star break, in particular at home. 6-0 straight up in those starts after the All-Star break, 4-2 on the run line. So I hate to say this, but it's a wait and see approach for me to see what happens on Monday night and then come back and see what I do with this Seattle and Houston game. Because if the Astros lose on Monday night, I will be on them here for this game with Framber Valdez full game. I believe Jordan left the game on Sunday, if I'm not mistaken, Mal, with what's classified as a knee injury. And I want to see if he's in the lineup here on Monday, which has nothing to do with the Tuesday card. But so I'm just gonna say it's gonna be a wait approach for me, and I do not see Alvarez in the lineup here on Monday. So he may be out for a few games here, Mal. But yeah, wait and see. If Astros, I'll say this: if Astros lose on Monday night, I will be on them on the run line on Tuesday. If the Mariners if the Mariners win on if the Mariners win on Monday, I will be on the Astros on Tuesday. If the Astros win on Monday, I'll be on the Seattle Mariners on Tuesday. So take that for what it's worth.
I have no idea what you said, Munaf, but good luck.
So
whatever it is,
I'll say this. So what I mentioned is right on Monday night. If the Astros win that game against the Mariners, they clinch the division. So there's nothing really for them to play for on Tuesday because they're going to be celebrating, and something Scott's talked about a lot on the pod is that when these teams are celebrating that division win, they're hungover, they're still partying, they don't have that motivation, and sometimes the managers give the guys a day off on Tuesdays as well. So Monday night, if the Astros lose, I'm betting on them on Tuesday. If the Astros win on Monday, I'm betting on the Mariners on Tuesday. Write that down, Mal.
All right, put that in an email, Munaf. Send that over, and we'll get across. We're going to move on before he says more stuff. 9:40 Eastern between the San Francisco Giants and the Arizona Diamondbacks. Logan Webb gets the start for. I nearly said the 49ers. Then I've gone cross sport for the Giants and Brandon Clark for the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks here are -142, Giants +120. Total is at 8, Munaf. Is this one a little bit easier to unravel?
Yeah, so again, we talked about the Diamondbacks, right? They're also in that wild card race here in the National League. They currently hold that 2-game lead over the Atlanta Braves, so they have all the motivation there as well. San Francisco really just trying to play spoiler at this point, especially against a division opponent, right? And you take a look at Logan Webb this season. I thought I just had pulled it up, but let me go back and get his numbers here. So on the season, Logan Webb, 12-10 with a 3.58 ERA. His last 5 starts hasn't been very Logan Webb-esque, I guess we can say, Mal. He's allowed 3 earned runs exactly in 3 straight starts, and he's allowed at least 3 earned runs over his last 5 starts as well. So maybe the wheels have fallen off a little bit here for Logan Webb. But he did face some quality opponents in there. He had the Milwaukee Brewers, he had the Padres in back-to-back starts, and then he also had the Baltimore Orioles in his last start in Baltimore. But does have pretty good career numbers against the Arizona Diamondbacks, 5-3 with a 2.51 ERA. And I want to say Brendan Pfaadt's last start, he got absolutely demolished, if I'm not mistaken.
No, he wasn't.
No, I'm sorry. That was against the Brewers. That was the start prior. Yeah, against the Brewers where he got absolutely blasted, but he bounced back very nicely against the Brewers in his last start. 7 innings, 1 earned run, 12 strikeouts in that game. Limited sample against the Giants, which is interesting because they're, like I mentioned, they're in the same division there. I think this could be another game, despite it being in Arizona, Mal, that maybe runs are at a little bit of a premium here. We saw what the Brewers were able to do against the Diamondbacks on Sunday. It comes from they're 9-0 down and they came back to win the game. But I think it's the Diamondbacks here for me as far as a side. But I do think that runs will be at a premium here. So maybe I see a 4-1, 4-2 type of victory here for the Diamondbacks.
I'm on the other side of this one. I really like the runs in this one. Pfaadts had been struggling, but then found it last time at the Brewers. 7 innings, 12 strikeouts. And don't forget, this is his time of year. He came into his own last year for the Diamondbacks in the playoffs. He was absolutely outstanding. But I do quite like the prospect of fading him off a 12 strikeout start. That just makes sense. And like I say, he hadn't been brilliant before that. Logan Webb's completely dropped off. 3-3, 3-6, and 4 in his last 5. His road ERA is 1.5 runs higher than his home ERA. The last 5 starts for either pitcher, Webb is 5-0 to the overs. Pfaadts is 4-1 to the overs. So both teams profitable to the over against righties. I'm fading fast in Arizona, 6.4 runs per game in the last month. Runs for me, Munaf. I'll go on the other side and take the over 8. And finally, is a Cowboy time, 10:10 Eastern first pitch between the San Diego Padres and the LA Dodgers. Michael King for the Padres. Landon Knack will go for the Dodgers, who are -126, plus 108 San Diego. Total is at 8.5. The Dodgers, another good series. Padres could make things interesting here. Dodgers have a 3-game lead. Michael King for the Padres has been absolutely stellar lately. 2-1-1, 2-1 in his last 5. All have gone under because he hasn't had much run support off the Padres. He's the only pitcher who doesn't get much run support. Landon Knack pitched 5 innings scoreless against the Marlins last time. Did give up 5 against Atlanta in the start before. So I'm not really sure what to do with him. Has started 6 home games, and his ERA is a level 3, which plays absolutely fine. San Diego were in good form, 8-2 in the last 10. They've won 4 in a row. I trust King to take on this Dodgers offense. On the 10th of May, he pitched 7 innings scoreless against the Dodgers, did Michael King. His numbers against the Dodgers are slightly inflated by a bit of a mad relief appearance, which was in Korea at the start of the season.
Yeah.
I think it was that first game where Darvish, both pitchers got lit up. It was both Japanese pitchers. Darvish got lit up. Michael King came in, gave up 3 or 4 earned runs and 3 or 4 innings. And that skewed his numbers a little bit. I think he can go well here. I like the Padres at plus money. So yeah, plus 108. I'll take San Diego, Mina.
Yeah, I think you're just taking the pitcher with a better form here, which is, like you mentioned, Michael King. Just been absolutely fantastic over his last 5 starts. Pretty good numbers, like you mentioned, against the Dodgers. You're not exactly sure what you're going to get out of Landon Knack for the Dodgers. I mean, great outing in his last start. It was against the Marlins, though, 5 shutout innings. But then against the Atlanta Braves in Atlanta back on September 13th, 2 innings, 5 earned runs he did give up to the opposition there. So I think the Padres make this interesting, Mal. I wouldn't be surprised if they win this series and the Dodgers have to go out over the weekend and try to wrap up the division that way. But this is going to be another appointment television TV, right? Because we talked about Mets and we talked about the Braves. And I think this works very nicely after that game's over. You could go tune into this game between the Dodgers and the Braves in this one. I'm trying to just quickly see who the Dodgers have over the weekend for this. They wrap up their, so they go to Colorado. So that's pretty easy for them. I mean, in a case that the Padres win 2 out of 3. So I say all that to be with you on this on the Padres here. I love Michael King. He's in great form. I like this plus price, plus 104.
Okay. Looking around the rest of the card, Munaf, it's obviously slim pickings. I do like a play in the Angels and the White Sox.
Brother.
Which is, yeah, baby, which is Jack Kakanovich against Jonathan Cannon. I like the over 8.5. I think with the Angels, we'd scored a few runs, haven't they? Did they get a 9-8 against the Astros last night?
Yeah.
Both these pitchers not particularly trustworthy. So yeah, it's a bit of a bum fight down there. 2 ball men arguing over a comb. But I think we can get the over 8.5 in that one, Munaf. Is there anything else you'd like to look up? Well, I think I've said Munaf for that one.
And this was our 4th season now together doing this pod, and that never ceases to amaze me. We got to add that one to the Malcolm bingo card. 2 bald men fighting over a comb, but yeah, I mean, look, yeah, the Angels, like you mentioned, against the Astros, they came from behind and they got the victory on that Sunday game. So their bats are still hot. I couldn't talk you off, especially with these 2 bullpens here against the Angels and the White Sox. Nothing else. I mean, you have Red Sox, Blue Jays. I know the Red Sox shut down Rafael Devers for the final week of the season here. I think he's dealing with some time a shoulder injury. But outside of that, I mean, I think it's pretty straightforward for the rest of the card there. Bailey Falter's on the mound against the Brewers. What's the motivation for the Brewers at that point as well? So yeah, nothing else really stood out to me, but I couldn't talk you off that over in the Angels and the White Sox game.
Okay, so lock and dog, Munaf, what have you got?
Yeah, let's go with the. Let me see that plus price is not going to be convincing. I may just save that for the dog segment there. So, all right, for my luck, I'm going to go under in the Mets and the Braves game. Now, I just feel like this is going to be a series that's going to be low scoring. I mentioned the number for Spencer Schwellenbach at home, 7-2 towards the under. So I think the managers are going to be very, very quick to pull some of these starters out if they're having a bad outing, especially for the Braves. But we mentioned Spencer Schwellenbach has been absolutely fantastic for this Braves team. So I just think runs will be at a premium in this game. So give me the under 8 in the Mets and the Braves. And then for my dog, it makes me nervous, with especially the way the Dodgers have swinging the bat here. But give me the Padres -1.5 plus 162. I just think that's some really, really good value here for the Padres. You get all 9 at bats with the road team. Michael King has been in absolutely fantastic form here as well. So I'll take the Padres on the run line -1.5 plus 162 as my dog.
Okay, for my luck, Munaf, I'm going to go against one of your picks here because I do really like that over in the Giants and the Diamondbacks game. Webb's struggling, and I do want to fade far behind that off that 12 strikeout game. In Arizona's bats have been really, really hot, so I'll take the over 8. For my dog, I can't stop looking at the Marlins at plus 198. Minnesota too short. I mean, in such terrible, terrible form. Uber's okay. And I think Ryan Weathers could be sneaky good here. Minnesota don't hit the lefties. So, yeah, give me Miami. I know Walking Bankroll in the chat was interested in Miami as well. So, yeah, we'll get them as $2 underdogs here. We'll take Miami. Finally, Eminem, you pointed me towards Jake Berger. You steered me, didn't you?
It's
Steered
Monday
me.
again, right? It's Marlins Monday now. I think we'll coin that.
That was the Marlins last week.
Yeah.
If it's not broke, don't fix it, Munaf. Come on, what we got?
I'm gonna go Alex Bregman for the Astros. He's had really good career numbers against Logan Gilbert of the Mariners. 28 at bats in his career, 10 hits. 3 of the 10 hits have gone over the fence. He's batting 357, 438, and 786. I did see a note that Yordan Alvarez is going under. He went an X-ray. There's some inflammation there, so I wouldn't expect him to be in the series for the Astros. So got to expect some of these other bats to step up, and led by Alex Bregman, Kyle Tucker, and Jose Altuve. But I'm gonna go Alex Bregman to hit one over the fence against Logan Gilbert on Tuesday.
Okay, I'm going to go to a game that we haven't covered here, and it's going to be Texas against Oakland. I tell you, who's been giving up home runs is Nathan Eovaldi. He gave up 1 last time. He gave up 3 the time before that. 1 the time before that. So we've got some multi-homer efforts here. Brent Rooker for the Oakland A's is going to be my play in there. He loves a long ball. So, yeah, good spot tomorrow against Eovaldi. So let's take Brent Rooker and Munaf. I think we did it. Nice and tidy. Looking forward to the baseball this week, and then looking forward to get stuck into the playoffs. Anything else we need to tell the people before we go?
Yeah, I mean, you didn't mention it, but I know you're going to be betting the Jake Berger home run tomorrow as well with the Marlins money line. It's just you got to make it.
Munaf.
Yeah, you got to go back to back weeks since you got it last week as well. So, no, I mean we're pretty much at the finish line here, Mal. I mean, this is going to be our last regular season episode together on the Monday card at least, but we're still going to be all throughout the playoffs. We'll get you guys ready for the playoffs, do all the playoffs preview. But again, like we talked about on this episode, a lot to still be determined, right? And some great series here to start the week. So I know all the attention is on football, with football going on right now, and rightfully so. But I'm going to be watching these baseball games as the final week is here. And I think that when we talk about the final week of the regular season, Mal, I don't remember the last time you and I, at least since we started the podcast here, where we talked about this many meaningful games at this juncture of the season in the last week. So should be a fun week. Hang with us all week. And then next week, we're going to be talking about the wild card game. So I'm definitely excited, Mal.
Brilliant. Thanks, Munaf. Thank you to everybody who joined us live this evening. It was full of fun and insight as always. Yeah, I'll be back tomorrow, I think, with D-Rock or Scott, something like that. But yeah, come and hang with us all week, and we'll get stuck into the playoffs as soon as you know it. Good luck with your bets, everybody. Back same time tomorrow. Until then, we will see you all down the road. Cheers.